Welcome back to Flashpoint. Charlotte City leaders trying to move forward with big plans for transit here in Charlotte. Council now trying to figure out the best way to fund a $13.5 billion transit plan. And now they need help from state lawmakers in Raleigh to get a key referendum on the ballot. Joining us now, Charlotte Mayor Pro Tem, the new Pro Tem we should add since his last visit to Flashpoint, Braxton Winston. Braxton, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Good to see you.
Good to see you as always. All right, so this week, members of City Council hearing about plans to revitalize the transportation center uptown. I know you guys have decided to move it underground. Big plans to add dozens of restaurants, shops there in the heart of uptown. The consultants I think that you guys heard from had the idea of branding these sort of developments, these districts, and could bring in $137 million. I just want to get you on the record. Do you think that's feasible? What do you think of this plan?
I absolutely think it's feasible. I think it's a good plan, or it's a good start of a plan, and I think it's a good approach. You know, as we're entering new phases of public-private partnership, we of course are trying to figure out how to best utilize the resources that those public-private partnerships provide. When we look at our transit investments, and especially in our uptown area, we're always trying to figure out how to give the best utility for people to use. So when we look at the future of the CTC, the Spectrum Center, the epicenter that is close by, that is going to be reimagined, and the massive investments that have been made on the Gold Line, how do you squeeze the most juice out of that? And I think this entertainment district, this cultural district, this transit district is a wonderful approach.
Last week, Charlotte City Council Transportation Chair Ed Driggs was on the show, and he said he doesn't think the city will be able to get that 1-cent sales tax referendum on the ballot this November. He just doesn't think that there's enough agreement among stakeholders, you guys, folks up in Raleigh. Do you think that's a fair assessment? Because I know there were hopes that it could happen this year.
Well, again, another thing about the transit district, right, is it brings an innovative approach to revenue building, right? Again, this is something that we have to figure out. We know we have limited options to generate revenue, a new revenue, to invest in transit, but we have to keep being innovative. You know, when it comes to the 1-cent sales tax, you know, like I've said in the past, we have to look folks in the eye and tell them what we want and why we need the things that we want, and how that works, not just on a city level, but on a regional level and on a state level. You can't imagine that you know, these new concepts are going to just happen at a snap of a finger. These are conversations that are going to have to be worked on and massaged out over time. But just because people might not be there yet, that is even more reason why we should start that conversation to generate that revenue, to inform and engage about why this is actually necessary. I have high confidence that we will get there, because at the end of the day, the Charlotte region is the economic lungs of this state, and there is an interest in this state to keep people and goods moving in and through Charlotte. And at the end of the day, I don't think people will sabotage that once they understand that.
As Mayor Pro Tem and a leader there on City Council, where do things stand with this plan, this $13.5 billion plan? Because it doesn't seem like there's been, I'm sure there's behind the scenes progress being made, but at least to all of our eyes, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of progress being made. We had Tim Moore on the show back a month or so ago. He's recently expressed sort of skepticism about the plan, as you know. So where do things stand as far as getting the stakeholders in this thing engaged and actually making some progress?
Well, we have work to do. Like you said, there are there's a ton of work to do, whether it be behind the scenes or in public forums. I was just meeting with the mayor and commissioner up on Cornelius this week, and we were talking about the needs and level setting of how our infrastructure or don't right now and need to work together in the future. So at the end of the day, nobody can deny that we need better sidewalks. We need more transportation options in more places, whether that be bus, whether that be rail, whether that be walking, whether that be biking. The current status is not okay. But I will say, I think it starts with our city council, and we have some work to do to provide a clear path forward and a clear consensus about what our priorities are. So that's really what I'm focused on right now, is how do we get a clear message through with city council. So even though we might have different approaches and ultimately we might have different priorities as we look at this entire city, that we're able to bring a clear message to the community, to our partners, in those conversations, whether they be behind the scenes or in public forums.
Would you be okay with the idea that's been floated about front-loading the plan by focusing on expanding roads first?
Absolutely. I'm for getting dirt moving because again, I'm down here in Steel Creek right now, and the issues that we have are that we don't have the local road networks to facilitate good movement in rush hours or throughout the day. We have one of the worst road networks of all major cities, whether that be in America or all across the world. We have to fix that. We have solutions we have solutions for problems that are on the ground right now. We know that we have hundreds of miles of sidewalks that need to be created or improved. And I don't want to wait, for a decade to get dirt moving when we have problems that have solutions that can be started now.
What would your message be to Republican lawmakers in Raleigh?
My message is that there is common ground here, that this is not a political debate. This is honestly not even an urban-rural divide debate. What we need to do is get back to the history of North Carolina and the history of our urban areas like Charlotte, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and Raleigh that created an economic engine for those rural places in the South to bring our goods that can be processed and sold on the market throughout the rest of this country and the rest of the world. We've done these things before. That's why Charlotte exists. It's been a logistical place to move goods in and through. And if we want to make most of our port in Wilmington in the 74 corridor, if we want to make the best use of our 85 corridor, 95 and 77, we're going to have to make those infrastructure investments to, again, keep these economic lungs of the state clear, so that investment and those resources can be spread throughout the state.
Final question, more about you than it is an issue. At this point, I think our viewers, and most people know your story. You came to be known back in 2016 as a protester during racial unrest here.
A concerned citizen.
Concerned citizen. No, that's fair. That's fair too. Ran for council, did really well. Then became Mayor Pro Tem last year. What future plans do you have, if any?
Well, my future plans is to get this investment made in our transportation and transit system so that we can, again, have the generational shifts that are needed to provide an affordable and equitable community, whether that's in the city, this region, or the entire state. We have a lot of work to do. I'm proud of the work that we did up and through the election last year. And I'm looking forward to taking a page out of that book to keep working and moving forward.
Would you have any interest in being mayor one day?
I'm interested in being a city council member and at large and working through this Mayor Pro Tem responsibility that I have. Anything other than that, like I said, is going to be made decision is going to be made in concert with what is best for my family.
Understandable. All right, Braxton Winston, thanks as always. We appreciate it.
All right, Ben, have a great day.
All right, you too. More Flashpoint after this.